Hi, my name is Rachel. I am the creator of the Hope for a Better Marriage group on both Facebook and Patreon. And I created my group because I don't want any woman to feel alone in her marriage struggles. If they're small, even if they're on the bigger side, I don't want any woman to feel alone in her struggles. So, you can always look into joining my community on Facebook or Patreon if you're interested in more support. I do also have quite a bit of other videos. I initially was going to make this video slightly different on a slightly different topic, a slightly different spin, but there's a recent social media phenomenon of a woman who posted a video of herself talking about how she loves her husband. He's an amazing father, but there's been something missing in her entire 10-year marriage. She can't quite figure out what it is, and she doesn't know who she is. She's just not happy. She's not fulfilled. And thankfully, she started out saying she's considering divorce, but now she's asking people for suggestions on what they've done to get out of something similar and what's helped them. So I really hope that enough people suggested Empowered Wife that she reads that because it is going to help her a lot. But I want to deal with this concept of people kind of finding themselves, becoming a better version of themselves after a divorce. And I want to encourage you that you do not have to wait until you get divorced to become a better version of yourself, to find yourself, to start doing hobbies, to start taking care of yourself. That can happen before you get to that point of divorce, or even if you're at that point of considering it now. Maybe you're considering it, maybe your husband's considering it, maybe divorce is on the table, lawyers are being contacted. Do not wait. So it's never too late to start prioritizing taking care of yourself. And I can see logistically, I think part of the reason why women are able to do it after divorce is like maybe because their children are not with them full time. So they have a little more kind of concrete time that they can devote to going to the gym, hobbies, all those kinds of things. But let's find ways to fit in your self-care. Let's find ways to get in touch with who you are, who you want to be. If you've lost yourself, let's find a way to get in touch with that while you're still married. So I want to really, really encourage you, if you are just feeling burnt out, you are just feeling like dread, your life is you're just dreading life, or even maybe you're grateful for your life, but you're just so depleted, so worn down. You've lost yourself in being a wife. Maybe you have kids and you've lost yourself in motherhood and you are just exhausted. I want to encourage you that you do not have to wait until your marriage falls apart and you're in a split custody situation to finally have time for yourself. Please don't do that to yourself. And if you are in that situation, if you've been in that situation, maybe if you're in your second marriage, you've already kind of been there, you've been through that heartache, and you're potentially facing it again, there's still hope. I want to encourage you, if you haven't listened to the Empowered Wife podcast or read the book, I would encourage you to start browsing certain topics. A common theme you will hear in the Empowered Wife podcast is that, so Laura always, the host, Laura Doyle, the author of the book and the host of the podcast, always has women start with the bad old days. And there's a lot of rough marriages, situations that get discussed on the podcast. So addictions, infidelity, a lot of just like the standard stuff that comes along with growing apart. You start out all good, and then once you start the stress of having kids, you're to the point where you're basically just roommates, and maybe you're just like you just hate each other practically. Like you can't even stand to be around each other. Like marriage, it's so sad, but it can happen. So you hear the bad old days. And then they share a little bit about their story, how they got connected with Empowered Wife, and sometimes it's a short turnaround, sometimes it's a longer turnaround, but you always hear how much things are better. And Laura Doyle always asks them, like, wait, is this the same man? Are you sure? This is the man that da 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 in the past? Like, are you sure? And she's always teasing them because Laura Doyle felt the same way in her marriage, that she couldn't be happy with her current marriage with the man she was married to. And then they had this transformation, and she just, like, was pinching herself. She can't believe she almost gave up on the man that she's married to. And we hear that time and time again, even, and I know this personally, so sometimes listening to the podcast, it feels a little like, okay, this is too ridiculous. They're just trying to promote Laura Doyle. They're trying to push stuff on us. Like, that's not realistic. I'm in a group of over 300 women who have been implementing the skills mostly on our own. Some have gotten formal Laura Doyle coaching, but most of us have just read the book. I did like 1 month of Laura Doyle group coaching, but we've read the book, implemented the skills, encouraged each other in implementing the skills, and we've been amazed at the transformations in our marriages and our husbands and just how incredible our husbands are. And we almost like missed that. So I want to encourage you, do not give up on your marriage. Do not give up on your contentment, your joy, your happiness. Do not put yourself last. And I think so often we blame our husbands that when we're putting ourselves last, and you don't have to do that. And you don't have to do it in a selfish way either. So you can start to prioritize your own self-care, especially meeting your basic needs and then finding some ways to find some enjoyment again so that you can joyfully be there for your family and you can handle the stresses and challenges of life. So please do not wait any longer to start prioritizing yourself. You can show your kids that it's important to make sure you sit down and take time to eat. You can teach your kids, okay, mommy's sitting down. I'm going to eat for like 10 minutes and then I can help you with whatever it is. Or you can get it for yourself. The more we can empower our kids to be independent and meet their own needs, of course, age reasonable meat, in age reasonable ways. That is so freeing for you. The more we get our kids involved in sharing the burden of the household chores, cleaning up after themselves, that frees up a little more time for you. So it's really good all around if we can teach them healthy prioritization of self-care. And I hear so many cute stories about how kids have learned. They're like, oh, mommy's having her time. Don't bother her. I have a friend who tells her kids, I'm going to go have 15 minutes of my time alone. She has older kids that can supervise younger kids and whatnot. So it's not like, irresponsible. And she says, okay, when I come out, it's going to be time for everyone to help clean up. So she doesn't get interrupted. Her kids don't, they're not too eager to disrupt mom's time. I've heard husbands jumping on board, being like, yes, you need to do your self-care. When their wives are getting grumpy, they're like, what self-care do you need to do? Because everyone benefits when mom starts taking care and meeting her basic needs and then doing a little bit of more like recreational, indulgent things too. So I've talked about self-care in other videos. I like to talk about figuring out if you need spiritual, a social, like emotional or physical self-care. I do a mix of that each throughout the day, but I am not doing it to the neglect of my family. It actually encourages me. I have more energy. I feel better. I'm not resentful anymore. So, all this to say, if you're not familiar with The Empowered Wife, check out The Empowered Wife. Please consider joining my group. Like this video if it's helpful to you. Subscribe if you'd like to see more of my videos and support me in helping get the message out to more women, because I do not want women to feel alone. I do not want them to think that divorce is their only option for happiness, because we know that's a lie. That is not true. Divorce just brings other types of problems. It brings other types of heartache. And I never said a disclaimer that I can support women, be part of a woman's support if she's in more bigger marriage challenges, but I am not qualified to be her main support system. If there's safety issues involved in the marriage, like that is definitely above my qualifications, especially I'm not an official Laura Doyle coach. But there's a wide range of marriage challenges that can be difficult, but they're not unsafe. And a lot of women just need more tools and support, and that's where I can be part of your support system. And it is super helpful to have other women who are in the same kind of a similar boat, figuring out the skills, because marriage is hard, but it doesn't have to be so miserable. I come from a faith background where we embrace suffering and like kind of the martyr syndrome. And marriage does involve a death to self. That is how we grow in holiness, to our selfish self. But it doesn't have to be quite as painful and rough as sometimes we're led to believe. It can actually be a lot more peaceful. There can be a lot more connection. And I think that's what God wants for all of our marriages as well. So, again, if you're in a really, really difficult, like unsafe marriage situation, I am not the one to kind of walk you through that. But if you're just experiencing more general marriage challenges, or if you are already getting like coaching and you just want more, you want to see more videos, more support community, I'm your girl. So please help me share and let me know if this is helpful to you. And then if there's other video topics you would like me to address, I do like to kind of tailor my videos to what is most helpful. So yes, please don't wait till you get pursue divorce to finally take time for yourself. Today's the day.